Alright, in this very special segment of 5-minute math, we're going to derive the quadratic formula. Know that, or remember that most quadratic equations look like ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, where a, b, and c are some numbers usually. Now, the first step to this is we're going to take ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. I'm going to subtract c on both sides, so I'm moving c to the other side. That gives me ax squared plus bx equals to negative c. Now, I don't want a coefficient in front of the x squared because I want to be able to factor that x squared, and you'll see why we're going to factor later. So in order to do that, I'm going to divide all three of these terms by a. And when I simplify that, that gives me x squared, because a divided by a is just x squared, plus b over a times x, and that equals to negative c over a. Alright, now we're going to do something called completing the square, which is really important. So we start off with our base equation right here, x squared plus b over ax equals negative c over a. It's the same as the one up here. But what we're going to do now is we're going to divide b over a by 2, and we're going to square it. And that completes the square for us. And I'm going to add that to both sides. So that gives me plus b over 2a squared plus b over 2a squared on both sides. Once I have that done, I am going to factor the left side, so I have it in a very simple form, or I should say I have it in an all squared form. That would be x plus b over 2a all squared. And the right side hasn't changed, except I changed b over 2a all squared into b squared over 4a squared. Now the next step in this is we want to combine what we have on the right side of the equation, so that we have common denominators, so we can have everything written as one term on top. So my left hasn't changed, it's x plus b over 2a all squared. My right changes by multiplying both sides by 4a, or the numerator and denominator of negative c over a by 4a, in order to get one, basically one fraction instead of having two fractions added together. And that's how we end up with negative 4ac plus b squared over 4a squared, because 4 times a is a squared, or 4a times a is 4a squared, and 4a times negative c is negative 4ac. Now that we've done that, we need to do something very simple. We need to take the square root of both sides. So let's take the square root of x plus b over 2a all squared, and the square root of negative 4ac plus b squared over 4a squared. When I take the square root of both of those, my left side comes out to x plus b over 2a. You just get rid of the square. On my right side, you get a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. And the square root of 4a squared is just 2a. Now, I am going to do something if I can find it. There we go. I'm going to write my equation out. X equals to plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, except I'm going to subtract b over 2a from both sides, so that gives me negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And because both of these have the same denominator, I can just add them together or put into one fraction, and that gives me the quadratic formula. X equals to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And that was a really terrible circle. There we go. That's how you derive the quadratic formula. Why you want to derive the quadratic formula really comes down to whether or not you care about why we use the formula to find solutions for x. However, if you don't remember, one of the reasons I want you to know how to derive it is, if you don't remember what the formula is, you can always figure it out just by following simple mathematical formulas. You do need to remember this very key step right here, which is very simply completing the square. If you don't know how to complete the square, you can't turn it into a factor form of x plus y all squared. And that means you can't square root it, and it all falls apart. Again, this is probably more information than you'll ever need to know, but I hope you enjoyed. Please rate and comment. Have a good day.